Friends, is there something that you keep putting off? Maybe you haven't done it for a long time. You know what changes you need, for example, because you just can't go on the way things were before. Or maybe you simply want to achieve or realize a goal, a desire, a need of yours. You understand what efforts and actions you need to take, but you keep postponing them. Why does this happen? What is behind it? And how can and should we really deal with it? This will be the topic of our video today, and I will try to thoroughly explore with you the reasons for a certain inner resistance. Why do we procrastinate, put things off, or feel afraid? How can we get out of this? And in just about 5 to 7 minutes, you will experience a very deep therapeutic exercise. So this video will be useful for those people who truly and specifically understand that they need certain changes. They even know what they need to do, but they're afraid to look in that direction. They are afraid to make an effort. So why does this really happen? Actually, it's all quite simple. You have an understanding of why, whether it's a need because you can't go on as before, or it's a specific goal, something you want to achieve. You might even know exactly what needs to be done. Moreover, you can even ask yourself right now, what is the key thing I keep putting off? What am I not doing at this moment? What efforts or actions, if I started doing them, might actually bring me the necessary desired changes? Right? Those very efforts that I keep putting off. Why does this happen? Because it's an internal psychological process that affects certain aspects. First and foremost, it touches on affects past experiences. So look, I know what I need. That is, I understand I have certain expectations. I know what is needed. I understand what I would like to achieve in the future, right? But when I look at that future, when I look at the efforts and actions I need to take, I see them through the lens of the past. And in the past, I already had certain experiences, unsuccessful experiences, unresolved issues, difficult situations where I couldn't cope emotionally, got stuck, hit a dead end, never got out, never figured out what to do with it. As a result, I might have experienced a certain intense emotional pain from the fact that my expectations were not met, something was destroyed, something was lost, something seems to have been left back there. It could be the feeling that I can't forgive myself, that I've once again confirmed to myself that there's something wrong with me. And this feeling, it's as if it continues to live with me. And when I look to the future and realize that I need these changes, I understand that certain efforts are required for this, and for me, this acts as a kind of trigger that activates the perception of past experiences and sets off the same reaction as if the very same feelings I had back then come up again. In other words, simply put, I don't take action, I don't do something right now because I'm afraid of certain consequences. There may be several main key consequences that I'm afraid of. First, what bad things could happen? What could occur, in other words? Which consequences am I specifically afraid of? Second, how I might feel. I feel worthless, insignificant, incapable. I might experience a certain inner emotional pain. Another very important aspect is how I will treat myself when this happens. So when a person looks into the future and experiences something like this, that is, it hasn't happened yet, but inside it feels as if this is almost the only scenario that will occur. Naturally, this resistance is triggered within me, and we start to procrastinate. The problem is that it is difficult for us to understand ourselves. It is difficult for us to figure out what is happening inside. That's it, because what we feel is holding us back. If you want, do something very simple right now. Let me ask you, what are you putting off? What are you afraid to do or to start? Answer yourself honestly, just as it is. Why do you need to do this? Because either you're afraid of it, or rather you're already tired of it. The second reason might be that you genuinely want it. Now let me ask you, for example, you know what you need to do, what changes you need. Now think about why you keep putting it off. Because it's as if there's a certain fear of consequences behind it. as if what could happen at that moment? What inside me could break down at that moment? What could I lose? What could happen to me? That's the first thing. So you see a certain fear of consequences that can be frightening. And how do you feel it in your body? How does your body react? Anxiety, tightness, tension, that heaviness, pain. And secondly, let me ask you, how will you feel? What will you feel like if you don't succeed, if it doesn't happen? How will you feel about yourself? How will you really treat yourself if you don't succeed? Again, how do you experience this inside yourself? If you've tried to analyze this now, you may be able to understand better why resistance arises within you. Because we look from the present into the future through the lens of the past. That is, until I work through certain limitations within myself, until I somehow process or experience them, they will always hold me back. Moreover, let's look at what you feel not as something bad, but as something good. After all, it's trying to show me what I need to pay attention to, what inside me is causing this feeling. And here I try to point out to you the key aspects. This is the fear of certain consequences. What will happen if I start doing this? What could occur? The second aspect is, how will I feel about myself? The third aspect is, what will I feel inside when this happens? What kind of inner emotional pain? What will seem to be destroyed within me? The fourth aspect is, how will I relate to myself? For example, that same feeling of being a failure. What is that? It's when I think, I couldn't do it, I failed, I feel like a certain kind of weakling, useless, helpless, and at the same time I blame myself for it. I often give this simple example. Something didn't work out for me. I felt pain, I fell to my knees. And the state of being a failure appears when it feels like some part of me comes up from behind and kicks me back and face into the mud. In other words, simply put, it's when I start treating myself in a certain way. So today, I have prepared a practice that will help you deeply and therapeutically work through all these internal limitations, the so-called destructive inner beliefs, remove negative internal experiences, sensations, emotional pain, and work through the fear that is troubling you at this moment. And we will be working through this fear in an interesting way, because fear exists only for the reason that it feels as if you can't handle it. So you need to go back to where it first appeared, relieve it, see a different way out, recognize your own influence, and understand what can be done and how you should relate to it. If you succeed in this, the fear will disappear. That is how we will work through the fear. We will address the destructive beliefs about ourselves, about what happened, and about what we already have lost. On the psychological, psycho-emotional level, we will mentally and metaphorically reclaim what we lost there. We will see a way out, we will resolve it, we will relive it. I promise that if you do this work thoroughly, you will feel an immense, tremendous relief inside yourself, an enormous relief. This is a therapeutic session that you can do on your own. You can pause it, but it is absolutely essential to finish it to the end. And it is also very important that you share what happens to you during the process. Just trust the process. This is a practice that I have lead introduced together with participants in one of my programs that I conduct. So you will be able to immerse yourself deeply in this process and experience all of it for yourself. And you will be able to work through what you have been putting off for a long time, simply because you are afraid of feeling a certain way, or you fear certain consequences and so on. Afterwards, be sure to share your experience. If you found this helpful, interesting, or valuable, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe if you wish. I have a lot of practices and practical tools on my channel that you can start using on yourself right now, not sometime in the future. That's it. And maybe some of you will want to work with me personally. So after you do the practice, see and feel the results, you might suddenly want to work with me one-on-one. All the information and a link to contact me and so on can be found in the description under any of my videos. Feel free to write and reach out. I wish you a very good and productive process. Thank you for your attention. Now, the practice will begin with a certain breathing exercise. We'll tune in, connect with the body, and then move on to the therapeutic process. Our practice is called fear of failure. I am a failure. Let's take a few deep breaths in and out. All right, let's tune in with ourselves. Try to really listen to this meditation. Take a breath from the center of your solar plexus, expanding outward, and notice the expansion reaching the boundaries of your body. As you gently exhale, slowly return to the very center of your solar plexus. Inhale deeply, expand, exhale slowly, and gently return to the solar plexus. Inhale, feel something greater inside. Exhale, relax your body, release any tension. Now try to release the tension from your shoulders. Focus on this process. Next, relax your face. Release the tension that you may be holding in your lower back and hips, allowing those areas to soften and relax. And now, as you continue, try to gently relax your solar plexus as well. Try to let go of any tension there. Wonderful. And now we will move on to the practice. What specific failure related to your goal or objective are you most afraid of actually experiencing? What is it about? In what way are you afraid of feeling like a failure? Perhaps you couldn't do it. It didn't really work out for me. Is this the reason why you might be putting something off right now, not taking a certain step? What actions do you seem to be holding yourself back from taking out of fear of failure? Become aware right now of the specific actions you seem to be forbidding yourself from taking because of this persistent fear of failure. Perhaps, did you realize it? Now, I'd like you to once again imagine, just for a moment, that you are about to write. Now decide to take those actions. Imagine that you decide to take those actions, you go through with them, but nothing works out for you. You started doing it, but nothing turned out. What happens? What do you feel? You wanted it so much, you made these efforts, took these actions, but nothing worked out for you. So, what happens? How do you feel? What do you say to yourself? How do you say it to yourself? What do you become in your own eyes if you didn't succeed? What thoughts come up? Does this feel familiar to you? What sensations appear in your body? Emptiness, shame, tension? What comes up for you? Pain? Where do you feel a response in your body to what you're feeling, to what you think about yourself? Acknowledge it. Stay with it. Admit that this is inside you. These thoughts, these sensations, your attitude toward yourself, stay with it. You might even feel some relief once you acknowledge that this is inside you. What past experience do you associate this with? Do you connect these kinds of thoughts about yourself, this attitude and perception of yourself, to something from the past? When did you first start thinking this way about yourself? When did you first feel like a failure, like you were incapable? What happened in that experience back then? What happened in that experience back then? Who in your life has judged you, turned their back on you, rejected you, or made you feel less valuable or unworthy in any way? Or did you reject yourself? Did you reject yourself? What did you feel at that moment? What did you feel at that moment when all of this happened? What did you decide about yourself? What destructive belief was truly born then? I'm a mistake, I'm weak, I'm unworthy, I'm incapable, or what? What about you? Hmm, tell me, where in your body do you feel a response to these beliefs about yourself? Where you feel a response in your body, these beliefs live in you. How do you feel your beliefs? Is it, I'm a mistake or something of your own? Where does it live inside you? If it's not just one belief, then what's the second one? Say it out loud. And again, how does it feel in your body? I want you to truly understand how you don't just feel these beliefs with words, but you also experience them deeply, physically, with your body. Let your body show you now how it holds you because of this. Limit it. At this point, take a moment to reflect. What specific belief or conclusion have you developed in your mind regarding the particular action or attempt that ultimately did not succeed or go as planned? What belief have you formed about the action itself that didn't succeed, that didn't bring about any results or outcomes? So, what do you honestly think about it now, at this particular moment in time? What is the belief that it's dangerous, that I'm not allowed to make mistakes, that it's impossible? Or what is it for you? Say your belief out loud, clearly and confidently. Where in your body does this perception live? And how do you feel it? Do you understand? Why are you afraid right now? Because what do you imagine when something doesn't work out for you? Do you understand why you're not moving forward with something right now? Because you imagine it as if it has already failed. And when you imagine this, you immediately have a belief about yourself, a belief about what you did, about your actions. How do you feel this in your body? How do you experience it? Then I want to ask you, so as not to face this pain, these beliefs about yourself, about what happened, what fear did you have after all this? What fear appeared after that experience? What consequences did you start to fear now? What is the worst thing that could happen if you try again and it doesn't work out? Become aware of this fear of consequences right now, which in fact is what holds you back. Do you understand? You think about taking action, you think you can, but you don't go for it because of this fear of consequences. Do you understand what kind of experience this fear is actually connected to? One that is already clear to you. If this fear of consequences were like a picture, what do you see? What are these consequences? What comes to your mind? Did you see the image of the consequences? Look at it now. We're looking at this image of the consequences you're afraid of right now. What are you protecting me from? What do you want from me? Let it answer. Did you realize the answer you needed, why you created or took it? Please tell me, how do you feel this fear in your body? Allow yourself to feel how this emotion affects you through your body. Seeing this fear of consequences, what do you feel in your body? And now sense how this feeling is affecting you and what thoughts come up afterwards. It will hurt. Don't go there. You can't do it. It won't work out. Leave things as they are. My dears, have you realized how fear and anxiety are working in your body right now? What thoughts come up afterwards? All right, my dear. Now I want to ask you to see yourself, the version of you who went through all of this, the you who experienced that situation, who developed these beliefs about yourself and that same fear. Do you see that version of yourself? How do you see them? How do they feel? Now look them in the eyes. He's waiting to be understood. Ask him, what was it that you couldn't handle back then in that experience? So, who was it that you couldn't handle in that experience? What was it exactly that threw you off balance? Could you tell me perhaps what it was? What exactly was it that threw you off balance? What was it in that experience that broke you, that shattered you, that pierced you from within? Feel the connection with your part, be as honest with it as possible. What were you experiencing at that time? What was it that you couldn't endure? Which feelings, which experiences were unbearable for you? It was right after that that you started thinking about yourself this way. Do you see? It was exactly after that experience that those very beliefs about yourself, about the situation, about what you did were formed. After that, the fear associated with taking action now appeared. Can you tell me about the pain you felt at that time as a result of what happened? Please share whether this pain was emotional, physical, or mental, and describe how the events affected you personally. Feel it within yourself. Where is it in your body? What pain did you feel inside yourself back then? Where is it in your body? How do you feel this pain within yourself? Where does it continue to live in your body? You can also clearly see and understand exactly what it is pain that comes from a heavy stone, from sharp and jagged shards, from some kind of burning, stinging acid, or perhaps even from something else entirely. Maybe each of you has your own version. As if what created such pain inside me? Did you see it, my dears? Do you feel this pain within yourself? And now imagine taking this image that creates pain in your body and moving it outside the boundaries of your body. Move outside your body now, whatever it was that created such pain. Take a moment to look closely at this image in front of you. And as you do, say to it with intention and clarity, "You are not me. You are not a part of me, nor do you define who I am. I'm now choosing to free myself completely from you and your influence." Watch until it disappears, dissolves, and goes away. Just observe. If there is still a wound or injury left somewhere in your body, gently direct a soothing, healing flow of energy there. Allow it to feel everything completely and fully without holding back. Cleanse, heal. And if you also feel resentment towards yourself, then in that experience, notice it in your body right now. If it exists, the resentment towards yourself for what happened back then, where do you feel it within yourself? The image of suppressed, unexpressed emotions, grievances against yourself. What is the image of this resentment? If, again, it exists within you, where in your body is this resentment? In which organ? In which place? Now take it outside the boundaries of your body. Look at this image and say, I created you. I control you. You belong to me. And now I allow you to express outward everything that has been building up inside you all this time. Allow this. Allow this image to be freed from what is inside it. Just observe it. I acknowledge you and give you space, but I also let you go. Now feel how it becomes lighter. Now you are an adult. Look at the situation differently. What would you say to your past self? What would you explain to him? What did he truly need to hear, to be told back then, at that particular moment in time, from someone who genuinely cared about him, even just a little? What should he have heard at that time? Maybe that the mistake is not you, that your value is not in the result, that you can make mistakes and still be worthy of yourself. What would you say to him? That actions are not all that he is. It's not about his essence, not about his core. It has nothing to do with you. Watch how he reacts to this. Weren't these the words he was waiting to hear from you all this time? How would you have gone through that journey differently then? What would you have done differently if you had been there with him? What would you have told him so that he wouldn't have fallen apart back then? I want you to see a different strategy now. After all, you are already an adult and can help yourself. Did you see a different strategy? Now imagine that you and your past self are going through that experience again together. You are there. You support him and you help him and you give him guidance. What are you doing differently? What do you say to him? How does he react? What does he feel now? How does he look now? How does he feel being next to you? How do you honestly feel deep down when you're looking at him? Just taking a moment to really truly consider it in this moment. How does he influence you now? Well, now let's return to your beliefs. Imagine that you didn't succeed again. Say the fear out loud. Say your old beliefs about yourself out loud. Say that old belief about yourself right now. There you are. You didn't succeed. Do you still believe it now? No? And what do you think about yourself now? Even if you didn't succeed, say this new belief about yourself out loud. And where do you feel a response in your body to this new belief? Allow it to take root. Now think about the old belief about the actions, about what happened back then. Take a moment to now slowly say out loud, clearly and confidently, your old thought or belief about what you did, just as you remember it. What you used to believe that is forbidden, dangerous, that you can't make mistakes. Or what is it for you? Do you still believe in that now? And what do you now think about actions, mistakes, and the journey? Where in your body do you feel this new perception? Now look at the fear of consequences. Does it still affect you now? Do you still need it now? If not, thank Him. After all, who created Him? Allow Him to live. Let Him go. Feel gratitude towards Him and let Him go. Watch until He leaves or completely dissolves. Free up space within yourself. So, what did you reject in yourself in that experience back then? What did you suppress, hide, or push away at that time? Was it some kind of quality or a part of yourself that you rejected back then? What is it that you really want to reclaim now? That which has always been yours and will remain yours. What is the image of what you rejected in yourself? Look at this image. You are a part of me. You are for me. I do not reject you. Come back to me. I accept you. I am with you again. And now let all of this in. Look, look at that version of yourself. What has he become now? And how does he affect you? Then accept him. Unite. Allow yourself to gently and completely dissolve, letting go of any tension as you do. Feel how strength returns to you together with him. Acceptance, dignity. What do you want to try now? Are you ready to try? What are you allowed to do now? Exactly. Even if it's not perfect, even if there will be mistakes and maybe even failures, where do you want and feel ready to start? How do you feel when you're not afraid to make mistakes, not afraid of being wrong? So, what are you honestly and completely prepared and willing to do right now, at this very moment, without hesitation? You are no longer a failure. You are a person who is walking your own path, and that means you are alive. Stay in this feeling, breathe, and then come back to me.